All right, so this is now going to be a review of challenge one. Again, I'm just going to go over the code and explain the answers, I guess, so you guys know I did it. So I'm going to take this. We're going to go over here to challenge python review.py. The first thing was we needed to create a function to square, or basically just compute the first 10 squares. This just was kind of hard coded because it was not really anything that needed to change, but the first 10 squares, as we see down here, it calculated our 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, and so on. Next we go to the averages, to create this, I just use a simple while loop, not much to explain here. Next, to average of numbers, I use the built-in is instance in Python. Basically, we're just kind of deciding because for this we were asked to have it be both when the input is correct and incorrect, and when the input was incorrect, it needed to return either 0 if there was no entries, or none if there was some other entry such as H or hello. So in the script, we have, basically we'd have 3 checks. One, check if there are no numbers in the list, then we return none. If the list is empty, we return 0. And if that is passed, then we just compute the sum, divide it by the amount or the length of the number input, and we get the average calculation. Next, we have 2 functions. One is prime, and the next lists the first prime, first 100 primes. The is prime one is just kind of a simple prime algorithm. We know that a prime number has to be less than or equal to 1. So all numbers greater than 1 or all integers greater than 1 are valid. So we just do a first quick screen to separate out all numbers that are less than 1 or equal to 1. So basically in range 2 to this calculation here is you take the half of the number and then use the int function, which brings you down from any decimal you might have to the whole number, and then you add 1 just to make sure, for good measure. There's some cases where that would be needed. And then you do the modulus or modulo operation on the iterator that we've established. And if there's no remainder, that means that we found a factor and that factor is not equal to the number itself, or 1. So it is not a prime number. So we return false and break out of this loop. Else, if this iterates all the way through, it means, and it does not break out, it means we do have a prime number, so it returns true. And then this else is, again, for all negative numbers and 1. And then we bring this function down to the first list of 100 primes. We start filling this array with numbers, so we basically just iterate through a while loop while the length of this array is less than 100. And we just kind of iterate through from 1 to 100, and then we use the .append to add the list. And then basically we just run the is prime of the iterator. If it's prime, it adds it. If it's not, it does not add it. And then I just added this to separate it with a comma, make it look nice. So that's down here. As you see, it goes to all the way through the top one, which is 547. And then next one was the count the letters in a string. For this one, we got inputs such as the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy hound, or dog. I think both work, maybe not. But basically this is supposed to have all the letters in the alphabet, a little sentence for elementary schoolers. But this function for I use the dot is alpha, which basically checks if it's an alphabetic or in the alphabet. And then I think the problem definition wanted us to have it all be lowercase. So I use the dot lower. And then we basically just update the results. And then I think the problem definition has it alphabetized. So I just used the sort function for that. And yep, and then you just return the alphabetized result, and then when we go to print it later, it'll print that out. The next one was to filter strings. I think it wanted it to be return true if it had a vowel in it and was longer than 5. String length longer than or equal to 5. And the challenge thing was list comprehension, and I kind of just looked up what that was, and it seemed pretty simple, so I went with that. So I just used the new list, and then the syntax here I found in the Python website or something, but string for string in list of strings if, and these are the qualifications, if the length of the string is greater than or equal to 5, and any char in list of vowels, and I set list of vowels up here. And then, yeah, so that'll basically just add to, we return this list. And I think I just added some random things in for test cases. They're not even words, algus, df, whatever, this. And as you see down here, algus passed because it's 5 characters and has the letter E in it. Kiwi passed, it's 5 letters, it has 3 I's. This weird thing passed because it's got a bunch of A's. And then DFGTK did not pass, and neither did solo because it's less than 4, even though it has vowels in it. And then last one, palindrome. So this is basically just a conversion. So we take the string, it was only for numbers, which helps because I think if you just input that without the quotations, it'll get an error, but it only wanted it for numbers. So this little number thing here is a palindrome, and it checks that by converting it to a string. And then this is a little fun thing that basically reads the string backwards. So if this string is equal to the reverse string, it's a palindrome, and if it's true, it'll return true, false, false, and so for both the ones, they return true, which they are palindromes, so that's nice. Yeah, so that's just explaining the code. Hope that's what you guys wanted.